Hello, my name is Thomas Morrill. This is my uh, Keepsake system from Hades 2, um, and how I implemented this into my game, Decks and Dungeons. So Hades 2, I'll just go over this very quickly. It's a roguelite developed by Supergiant Games, released officially October 16th of this year. Um, Super cool. You use powers from the Greek gods, and you have keepsakes, which is right here. And so there's 33 different keepsakes the player can get. Um, and then each have a unique ability, which can be any of these, and there's many, many more. Only one can be held at a single time. There are different opportunities to switch keepsakes that you have, um, and keepsakes will then be like gifted to you from characters for like developing friendship with them. And so my system, it's a little bit simpler than that. But there's three different keepsakes at the current moment. I plan on adding more. I just didn't have the time. So each with a unique ability. So there's one that's a revival upon dying. There's one that grants, I think, double XP, or it's something like that. It's some sort of multiplier. And there's one that has a chance of granting double loot and opening chests. Only one can be held at a time, and there are opportunities to switch keepsakes in the game. And so let's jump right into the demo. So here's like the keepsake cabinet. I mean, it's just a box, but there's the three keepsakes here. Um, yes, that's so we have the resurrection, the XP gain up, and then the chance of double loot once this run. So you can equip any of these. So this is the resurrection. So I'll artificially hurt myself. And when I was supposed to hit 0 there, I then resurrected to 5 health instead. Um, with the fedora here, if I normally you'd only be getting 1 XP, but instead you get 2 here. Um, and so I mean you can see the same thing. If I unequip it and I equip something else, I should only be getting 1 out of 10 each time. And the last one I have equipped was the double loot chance. I'll give myself some money here so I can buy a key. And then when opening a chest, I have it to like a 50% chance now just for testing purposes. I'll get my loot. And then there's a chance at double loot. And so it goes again. And you can get more loot. Um, and you get both cards there. I'll jump into the code really quick. It's very interesting how it works. It uses interfaces. So there's an interface which is the BPI keepsake interface. And so this is where I implement all the functions. And then so I have individual actors for each keepsake. So here's the double loot actor, here's the resurrection actor, and then here's the XP up actor. It doesn't look like much is going on, but because in the actual keepsakes themselves, not a lot is going on, but it's important to the more important part is the implementation. So here's this. This is the resurrection. So for example, it'll check if it's been used or not, because it can only be used once. And then if it has been used, then it won't resurrect. But if it does, then it will resurrect. And so all the calculation is done in the actors themselves. And so then to implement these in the player character, for example, on death, we'll get the keepsake, and then we'll run the the interface resurrection. If this doesn't implement the interface, then nothing happens. Um, Nothing happens, and it just defaults to false. If it does if it does implement the interface, but it doesn't implement that specific function, then it'll default to false. If it does implement the interface and it implements the function, then it'll resurrect. And then so all the functionality is done inside each individual thing. So this just calls back to resurrection, which would be here. So everything is done inside these actors. So then there's no extra calculation being done in the code. This is also a workaround to having to then manually sift through all the possible keepsakes and all the possible conditions when each event occurs in the blueprint. So I don't have to go here and be like, oh, does this person have this certain keepsake? If it does, then do this. No. Instead, just call this. All the functionality is done in there, and so I don't have to do any more searching than I need to. For example, so that's there. The XP gain one is just on add XP. It just calculates the XP buff, and it'll change some values. And then our last one was the double loot, and so that's just in the chest here. It'll just call double loot here, and then if it is doubled, then it'll do this. If it's not, then it'll just destroy it like normal. So it's all super modular, super awesome, and I'm excited to expand upon this. And so what went well? I mean, it was pretty straightforward to implement. Surprised by how well my planned implementation worked. Very minimal research. I kind of had this plan going in that I thought would work, and it worked beautifully. And it's super modular, and so I can add as many keepsakes as I want, and it shouldn't take too much code implementation. Or I mean, code implementation outside of the actor itself, so then my blueprints don't get messy and everything. So what went wrong? Uh, the just having three is kind of boring at the moment. The resurrect is probably the resurrect and the double loot are the coolest one. The XP buff is kind of lame, but I mean it's practical. Um, and then keepsake abilities could use a little bit more pizzazz. They're pretty bland at the moment. Not a lot happens uh, visually whenever things happen, except for like the double loot maybe. And then I wanted to add more keepsakes, but I kind of ran out of time. And then so what I learned here is that interfaces continue to be super awesome. I also learned about event dispatchers. I did some research on those. I didn't end up using them for this, um, but that could have been another implementation pathway I could have taken, but I didn't. I thought this was a little bit more efficient. Um, and then I learned that when an interface event is not implemented, the code won't do anything, which is exactly what I wanted here. So I was very happy to see that. Thank you very much.